Welcome back to the NAO show. We're going to do part 2 of our ranking show. It's me, your wonderful host, the guy you come to see and listen to every week, and me, Sean. Everybody comes see Marky Mark. We all know that. How you doing there, Marky Mark?
Doing pretty well. Missing Mike tonight, but he's got some house stuff that he's dealing with, so we'll let him do his thing.
Yeah, he's trying to move across the country. That sometimes takes a little bit of time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a big deal for them. I'll be glad when he gets settled in.
Yeah, I'll be happy when they're down in Texas, so Dallas can go 0-16, 0-17 this year, with Mike being in the state.
He'll have to move if that's the case, man. It won't be their final stop. We'll have to run them out.
California or Kansas City. That's what they need to be doing. Well, yeah. We got a pretty darn good show on the books for us. We're going to knock out a couple trades that happened over the week. And then we're going to jump into this ranking. Let's go ahead and start with that trade there, boss.
All right. Yeah. 2 trades this week to talk about, both involving Mike, and hate that he's not here to talk about them, but we'll do our best in his absence. So the first trade was between Frank's Beauties and Humpty. The name du jour. What's the name du jour? Swamp Dick is what we were calling here recently, but
man, it would take us all show to say all the names that we came up with this guy. Humpty Dumpty, Donkey Dick, Swamp Dick, Swamp Donkey.
Yeah, some of them hurt our PG rating, so I guess we'll go with Humpty for tonight. So Humpty received Josh Reynolds and Zach Moss, and Mike, Frank's Beauties, received Cooper Kupp and a 2022 third rounder. Let's give a quick hitter on this one, Sean, and then what we're going to do is talk about both trades, and then since it was both with Mike, we'll talk about them all at the end as one big trade. So talk about this one real quick.
I like the trade for both sides, actually. I like Kupp. I think Mike was needing a little extra piece there, and Kupp is a solid shoot. He can be wide receiver 1 easy, and he gets a third round pick next year. Third round picks are nothing to bat an eye at. And I love Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is great add to the team. He could be wide receiver 2 if Julio doesn't end up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Zach Moss, I mean, if he can figure out how to hold on to the football, he could be a darn good running back. But they did bring in the future of Buffalo's running back in Breda. And I'm sorry to tell you all again, you guys aren't listening to me. Matt Breda is the future in Buffalo, but who am I to say?
Well, good luck with that. Yeah, I like Zach Moss. I think I talked about him last week when we were talking about Mike's roster, that I liked him as an upside guy for this year, since they didn't bring anybody in except Breda. We'll give you a little bit of love for Breda, but I think I said he's never been able to supplant anybody else anywhere else. So I don't see him taking over for Moss at all. So yeah, I like Moss. It's a good upside guy for Humpty to get there. Josh Reynolds, if Julio doesn't come, he could be the number 2 there. I think he's been a good receiver playing behind some talent. Maybe not the main guy there, so maybe he can take a bump up there in Tennessee. Cooper Kupp, maybe a little risky. We got to see how he does with Stafford. Definitely, he has the talent, and he has the history to show that he can do it. So if he can get some rapport going with Stafford, I think he could be good. And he gets that 2022 third, and not the third round, you can still get some value there. So not a bad deal there. I like it for both of them. I think it was one of those kind of mutual deals there. I think the numbers say that Mike was ahead a little bit, but it was pretty negligible. It was to the tune of Dallas Goedert. So maybe Humpty could have got a little more, but if Zach Moss makes that jump, then that value is going to that Goddard value is going to be taken up pretty quick by Moss jumping up in value. So I like that. I like that one for Humpty.
I think you make a good point with the Stafford and Goff trade. I think Stafford is a night and day upgrade from Goff. So I think that only boosts Cup's value. I
Yeah.
think Cup is going to have a really, really good year this year.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they do with Stafford and who he develops some chemistry with. But there's no reason it can't be Cup. I think, I think Woods will have a fine season with him. Cup probably should be at least the number 2 guy there. And who knows if they go if it's going to be Higbee or maybe they throw to the running backs more. We'll have to see how it all goes there. But Cup definitely, like I said, has the history. So, well, moving on to the second trade, Mick Jammer, myself, traded with Frank's Beauties. I received Melvin Gordon, and Mike received James Conner, Christian Kirk, and Ty Johnson. Run it down for us there, Sean.
I was actually surprised that Connor was on the trade block for you. But when I saw that you got Gordon and what your need is out of Gordon, I could understand where you're coming from. You're not looking for a guy that is going to carry you all season long, but try to get you into the start, maybe into bye weeks, and maybe be a guy that you can put in every once in a while if need be, and feel pretty good about him until the guy your own handcuff takes over. Like, I see what you're doing there, Marky Mark. And I think Kirk has some upside. He could turn into something. There's some good upside there. I like the good trade. It's a good trade.
Yeah, Connor really wasn't on the block per se, and I was kind of excited to see what he might do in Arizona. But Mike and I had talked about some other guys, and it just kind of evolved into this deal where I was like, well, hell, why don't I just take Melvin Gordon off your hands? I've got Javonte, I've got Mike Boone. So let me yeah, so I'll take him off your hands, and maybe you get a couple of guys that you can put on the roster and see what they do. So yeah, Connor, I'm hoping that he can, he's got a little bit of gas left in the tank there. I think he was behind a bad line last year. I don't think it was all James Conner last year. I think a lot of it was the Pittsburgh line because nobody really did anything in Pittsburgh running the ball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christian Kirk, I still like him. I think he's going to play the slot more this year. I heard someone in the know talking about they want to run the true air raid, which is 4 wide receiver sets, which would actually put Kirk back inside with Rondale Moore and put AJ Green and Nuke on the outside. So if Kirk is playing in the slot and they do more true air raid, where it's just a one running back and 4 wide receivers, playing that 10 personnel, I think maybe he can do a little something. He's still got a good, the thing I liked about Kirk initially was that his athletic measurables, his size, a lot of that is comparable to Stephon Diggs. And I'm not saying he's Stephon Diggs by any means, but he's comparable to him. And I think that he could, if he's playing in the slot, he could definitely do some damage there. So Ty Johnson, I think, was a good flyer for him because it's, he had some success last year. He's going to be in the mix this year. So it's a good flyer to take on him. So it was good on both sides. I'm not crazy about Melvin Gordon. He's older for Dynasty. But it takes the guesswork out of Javonte for me. So I'll have both those guys, and I'll be able to put the appropriate guy in my lineup, depending on what's going on there. So a lot of questions to be answered there still,
I just hope Denver doesn't do the 1A, 1B like they did with Lindsey for you, and they make it more of a clear cut. This is the guy that's going to get 1 through, like, this is our workhorse guy, and this is our third down guy. I hope it's a little more clear cut than when Lindsey was there in Denver.
Yeah, yeah. And you're right. They do have that history of kind of splitting the time. So it was Royce and Royce and Lindsey before Gordon got there, and then it was Gordon and Lindsey. So we'll have to see if they keep that up. But I feel like Javonte can raise up to the number one there before it's all said and done. And Gordon's got some age, but if he's got any juice left, I'm gonna try to squeeze it out of him here. So
Yeah,
so
let's go ahead and look at these two trades together, because I think that's very telling on what Mike was trying to do and what he actually gave up to get. Mike, he actually gave up 3 pieces: Reynolds, Moss, and Gordon, to get 5 pieces: Cup, Connor, Kirk, Johnson, and the 3rd round pick there. I think moving 2 running backs and a wide receiver to get 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers and a pick, I think that's good managing right there.
yeah, I think, we talked about Mike's roster last week and him being down low in the rankings. So I think this was something that it helps him in the flex right away, putting Cooper Kupp in there. Connor could be another guy that he can flex in. If Connor does anything, he's got that 3rd running back and maybe a flex piece there. Kirk, maybe the same thing. If he makes a little bit of a jump from last year, could be a good flex. So he's got 3 pieces right there that gives him a little bit more depth and a little bit more to put in that starting lineup. Got the third round pick, so he's working on next year at the same time, and we'll see what happens with Ty Johnson. I like Ty Johnson's athletic profile a lot, and it's just a little scary because he got cut from Detroit, so that's not a that's not what you look for a lot of times when you're combing the waiver wire. But he finally did get some playing time with the Jets and had some decent outings. So maybe he can build on that and be in the mix. They brought in Michael Carter, and we'll have to see how well he does. I still feel like he's got to learn pass protection before he's going to be on the field a whole lot. So Johnson could be in the mix just as well as anybody. Could be P. Ryan, hard to say. But yeah, looking at this for Mike overall, by the numbers, he won that trade by the difference of Trey Sermon, which is somebody who's hot right now and going in the first round of a lot of rookie drafts. So, so yeah, he definitely came out pretty well when it was all said and done, I think.
Yeah, I think you were hitting the nail on the head on that one in New York, because the running back that's going to see a lot of playing time is the one that can block the best, because anybody that's going to block for Zach Williams right now and allow him to throw the football is going to be the one that's in there. I don't even think they're going to try to run the ball all that often, to be honest with you. I think the one that picks up the blitzes fastest, gets a good block every now and then, they're the ones that's going to be playing.
Well, I mean, I had to disagree about running the ball because it's the guy that's I can't think of his name, but he's a Shanahan guy, and that Shanahan offenses run the ball, and I think that they're definitely going to run the ball. They might, there's certainly, with Wilson in there as their quarterback of the future, and you got Mims, you got Elijah Moore, they got Corey Davis in there. So, there's going to be a focus on the pass, but they're not going to just abandon the run for it, I don't think. But we'll have to see who jumps up there. If they do run that system, they're just looking for one cut fast guys, and Ty Johnson is that. Michael Carter, his biggest downside is his pass protection. I love him as a running back and a receiver, very good receiving back. But that pass protection is definitely going to have to come up some before he's on the field all the time. So that's why I think that Johnson could be a stopgap guy until Carter kind of picks it up. So, but I like the trade for Mike. That's what we're talking about here.
Yep.
More than anything. And I I like the two trades and what he did to bump up his roster a little bit. He didn't have a lot to work with, and he did something with it. So I like it.
Me too. You want to get into these rankings? That's what the people have come to see, come to hear.
Yeah, we kept them in suspense for a week, and now we got to reveal these top five. Just to remind you, we plugged in the lineups into 4 different tools. So we use Fantasy Pros, Dynasty Nerds, Keep Trade Cut, and Rate My Lineup. And we came up with consensus scores. Everybody got a score. Lowest score was the highest, down to the highest score was the lowest. Kind of like golf. Our buddy Ian, he's a golf guy. He can relate to that. So let's go on. And oh yeah, we do have the yearly rankings and the dynasty rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll give you both of those and we'll talk about each lineup here. So number 5 was pretty easy because it was consensus that Run It Back was number 5 in yearly and number 5 in dynasty, our buddy Aaron. So let's talk about his lineup. What do you think when you look at his roster there?
Well, let's talk about his draft this year a little bit before we get into his lineup, because I think everybody knows his lineup. He's got the big two, Hill and Adams at wide receiver, and then he has the whole Cleveland backfield as his running back squad. But I love the addition of Amari Rodgers and Eskridge. Both of those guys could definitely see some pretty good playing time this year. If Amari Rodgers is that wide receiver that everybody's been waiting for in Green Bay, he could see some playing time. I don't think Lazard is the guy that's going to make the jump, you know. He did see a lot of targets last year, only when I think it was like a 6-to-1 target ratio between Adams and him. So I think Rodgers is going to be a real good addition to his team. And like I said, I love his starting lineup. It's when you start looking at his flex players, that's when I start going, okay, what are we gonna do here?
And we know you're all about the flex.
Hey, it's 3 positions. You could put anybody in those besides obviously a quarterback, because we don't play super flex. Note to Goofy, just so you know, we don't play super flex. Those flex spots are kind of come down to like if you're gonna win or lose, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely you're looking for guys that can bump you up every week. I like Ayuk in there. He's got
he's like the only one that's a solid flex dude for him.
Yeah, Mostert. Yeah, it's hard to say. Mostert was a late breakout, so he's older now, and he's had the injury history. He's definitely got the juice. I mean, if he can stay healthy, he's gonna get carries in that backfield, but might not be a whole year thing, unfortunately. And Drake is kind of the same for me, kind of getting older and changing teams and playing behind Jacobs now. So we'll have to see what happens with him. I do like the Amari Rodgers and the Eskridge picks. I don't know that. I think Rodgers maybe could be a little more involved this year. Eskridge maybe is a little more down the line. I think Lockett's still going to be the guy there, and maybe Eskridge is his successor in a year or two. But definitely some good talent that he got there in the draft. But yeah, I look at his depth, and there's he's got a good starting lineup. He's got some of the biggest names probably in fantasy in his starting lineup.
No doubt.
You know, so your eyes get big kind of looking down through there, but you look at the depth, and it's there's not a lot there that you can count on putting right in there. Brandon Cooks is probably a guy that will do better than people will think this year. I still think he can have a good season, but
somebody to throw the ball to him.
Yeah, well, we'll see who's doing that. I mean, Tyrod's been decent when he's played, so you know Tyrod can still get the ball to him. Cooks is a good receiver. If Tyrod latches on to him as the number one, Cooks can definitely have a good season. But I see a lot of upside guys, but nobody that you can count on just throwing right in there. Some question marks on his bench. So It kind of makes sense when I look at his roster. Fifth kind of makes sense. Great starting lineup, but not a lot of depth, and we'll have to keep these guys healthy. His starters healthy if he's going to do much, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to number 4.
All right. Well, yeah, we're going to go with Goofy Jace here. So in seasonal, Goofy Jace was third. In Dynasty, he was fourth. So let's talk about his roster.
I love his roster for a plethora of reasons. His starting lineup, real solid. His backups are a little wobbly, but he's got some great handcuffs. AJ Dillon, handcuff for Jones, and he's definitely got the quarterbacks locked down for the next 17 zillion years. So I think he'll be okay. If P. Ryan from Cincinnati has to play, that's bad for me, obviously, but he could be a pretty darn good handcuff. And I still think Wayne Gallman's going to be a solid play in San Francisco. If they have a year like they did last year, anybody that is considered a running back is good for 1,000 yards. So I like his team. I like his starting lineup, definitely. He's got two of the best running backs in the league right now in AK and Aaron Jones. Do you think AK is going to be able to do what he did last year? Maybe he'll have that 40-plus point game sometime in the season where it'll actually benefit Goofy.
Yeah, that's right. You missed out on that one. Poor guy. Now, I think Kamara will still be solid. Jones going to, staying with Green Bay was really good. And I think you're seeing him drafted a lot higher this year now because I think there's a lot more confidence. He's definitely going to be the lead guy there. He's got his backup in Dillon, like you said. Ridley, Evans, Chenault, who could make that jump this year. J.K. Dobbins, who should jump up. You got Keenan Allen there. So I like what I'm seeing as I'm looking down his starting lineup. And you're right. He's got a lot of quarterbacks for a one quarterback league. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 backup quarterbacks. He's got one on his taxi squad too. So I think he's set at quarterback, like you said. You might think about it.
Just so our fans know, we are not a super flex, right?
Not a super flex. Not at this point. Not at this point.
Not at this point or ever.
Yeah. Still got Jamal Williams, who they the way they talk, he might split time with Swift some. We'll have to see how that goes. But Williams has definitely been good, and I think he can continue that in Detroit. And I agree with Gallman. I love the fact that I liked him a lot, and I had drafted him as a rookie in my other dynasty league, and when Saquon came in, it broke my heart. He's never really materialized, but he's definitely been good when he's gotten a chance. So I love the fact that he might be able to get more of an opportunity in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. He's got Will Fuller still. He's got a 1-game suspension to serve, and then he can start playing for Miami. So he's got a little bit more depth here. We talked about last year. He was a guy that he didn't have injuries. He didn't deal with injuries last year. He was probably the one guy in the league that didn't have to deal with injuries much. And so I still think a lot of it depends on how healthy his starting lineup stays.
That really benefited him last year when he made it into the playoffs. And I think he had to just pretty much see who's on bye and then put a guy in and hope for the best,
Yeah. He's got a little bit of depth going on there. He's got some quarterbacks he can trade if he wants to shore things up. So I think you've been trying to get one of those quarterbacks, haven't you?
No. I think it was the third quarterback he drafted last in our rookie draft. I don't know.
I hit him up for quarterback too because with the Deshaun Watson situation, I may need to to have another guy to count on there. So I was making a play for a quarterback, and he doesn't want to come off him, man. He loves those quarterbacks.
He wants to collect them.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
All
Well,
right,
let's go on to the
get to number 3 in
yeah.
the NAO ranking.
So at number, I was number 4. So McJammer's next. Number 4 in seasonal. Number 3 in dynasty. So we'll talk about my roster at this point.
Oh, let me tell you how great your roster is.
Yeah, man. Let's hear it, man. I need some love.
All right, I'm gonna knock you down. First thing, I do not like Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
Akers. I think Akers is gonna be a solid guy for you to have gotten, and you're gonna be real happy that you got him over the offseason. He's probably gonna make it up into that RB1 slot for you sooner than later, but I don't think you can bank on Sanders all year round. I think Philadelphia has seen the writing on the wall and that Sanders is not an every down back. If they were able to give him the targets that he needs, I think he's a better pass catcher than he is runner, which is shocking. If he could just put a bunch of games together instead of a few like really, really good games, I don't know. I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's the offense. It could very well be the offense because it seems like Philadelphia, all these fantastic wide receivers go there and they never turn out to be very great. But who knows? I'm not big on Miles Sanders, but to be honest, that is literally the only downside to your starting lineup that I don't like. Davis in Atlanta could be something. They don't have a running game right now, and he showed up last year in the wake of CMC getting hurt. So Davis could definitely be a dark horse on your starting lineup there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to try to brag on my lineup. I feel good about who I got. We'll just have to see what happens with Sanders. I'm not panicking by any means, but I'm also, realizing that I think Gainwell came in there to be a pass catching back that might take him off the field more than he was last season. So I definitely, I'm not oblivious to the fact that he could take a step back, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as you're forecasting, but maybe it's just me hoping,
Yeah. And my forecast is tentative. I mean, it could really be one way or the other, which just doesn't bode well for fantasy owners. Like, which guy you're going to get? Do I draft him in the 3rd round, or do I draft him in the 6th round, or do I not draft him at all? That sort of thing. That's where I'm from.
You look at the long touchdowns he had last year against Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and you realize the guy, he can be special. He can break those big plays. So I still think he'll be in there on 1st and 2nd down because of that ability. If Philly's line can stay healthy and more, they were bad last year and they just were decimated with injuries. If they can stay healthy, then he can make those kind of plays. So I just kind of feel like he may, if he loses some in the passing game, maybe if the line stays healthy, he can pick it up in the running game. So I still think he's got that big playability. So, we'll see what happens. I do like Akers and glad I got him. Hoping Kittle stays healthy this year. Got Chase there in the starting lineup. I think that he's a rookie that can definitely come out and have an immediate impact.
I think the whole NAO knows how I feel about my man. Yeah. So I'll digress from my analysis on him.
Davis was a pleasant surprise. I got him as a throw-in on a trade with Ian, and I joked with Ian that I might be dropping him before the season started, but the fact that he went to Atlanta and they didn't bring in anybody except Javian Hawkins, kind of tells me that he may be relevant this year. Now I'm not counting on him all year. He came in there last year and did a good job for Carolina, but he started getting these little nickel dime injuries, and you could see the season started to wear on him. So I kind of look at him as a guy that can maybe carry me early on. I'm not betting on him to be there in the stretch run. So, but I am really happy that I do kind of looked into a guy that's going to be probably the top back in Atlanta after getting him as a throw-in. So
It's funny that you say the nickel and dime injuries in Carolina, and that makes me think that it's a Carolina offense issue instead of a running back issue. CMC, best running back, best player in the league, goes down because everybody and their brother saw that 97% of the plays were going through CMC. We get it. CMC is CMC. If you have the best player in the league and you're not going to use him, what are you going to do? But it's interesting to see that like another guy get put into the same position and he starts getting nickel and dimes, where the NFL is kind of moving towards this 1A and 1B backfield, and it's making fantasy a little more muddy to be able to start these guys, kind of like in Denver.
yeah, yeah. Well, in this case, like I said, that there's really nobody else there. Brian Hill went to Tennessee. Yeah, I think they still got what's his name there, Allison, um, the Edo Smith, but neither of those guys have really done anything to take over. They've been okay in spots, but not a guy that's going to take away from Mike Davis, who last season was good on the ground and through the air. Guy had like 59 receptions for 300 and some yards last year. Definitely was good in the passing game as well. So yeah, neither one of those guys are going to be a threat to him. Javian Hawkins is interesting. He's a small guy, but man, he's fast, and he's his athletic measurables usually mean success in the NFL. The size doesn't, so we'll have to see what wins out there, the measurables or the size, because he's kind of a small guy. But again, he's a lower round draft pick and probably not going to be a threat right away. So I think Davis is good there. Just to finish up talking about mine, I looked down through my bench, and I don't think there's anything to get terribly excited about except for upside. I got some guys that have some upside. I don't think I have a lot of guys that you can just plug right in. So I think I'm another one that's going to have to stay healthy to stay in the mix. And if some of those upside guys progress this year, make that second year jump, a couple of these receivers I'm looking at, then maybe, like Mims and, well, Campbell, he's a third year guy that hasn't been able to stay healthy. Gabriel Davis, though, those guys can make that second year jump, then maybe I've got a little more than I think. But right now it's a little suspect there. So I'm hoping for some upside breakouts for sure.
Just to touch on your draft for a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, you had the second overall and third overall, and we went over that extensively in our draft show. But I love the Elijah Mitchell pick. I think it would be, as a football fan, just a football fan, it's going to be really interesting to see what San Francisco does after their dismal year with injuries last year. If they have Wayne Gallman and Mitchell kind of makes a step up and he can actually block a little bit when they actually make the move at quarterback to their real quarterback and not play Jimmy G. Yes, I know. I have Jimmy G on my team. He is not staying there for long. I got it. Evan, don't at me.
You've accepted the.
I think it's going to be really fun just to watch them play. Obviously, they have a fantastic offense. It's going to be really fun. I think Mitchell is a fantastic pickup for you.
Well, thanks. I mean, looking at Wilson and Wilson's already hurt. I said a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week, Wilson and Mostert have the injury history, and here Wilson's injured before we even get to the season. So poor guy, man. I feel for him. But yeah, those two guys are definitely at the end of their careers, and Sermon and Mitchell could be the next guys up. I do like Gallman. But looking for, years down the road, it looks like Sermon and Mitchell could be the 1-2 punch there, of the future.
Too. It's going to be crazy in San Fran.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's Mitchell was. I was glad to get him where I got him, and we talked about the trade up and all that, and hoping that it turns into something for me. I certainly like him there in San Francisco.
All right, let's go ahead and move real quick for these next two. No one really cares who's 2-1.
Yeah, are we running?
Kind of blow through this if you want. Let's go to number 2. Who's number 2?
Are we running out of time? We might have to hurry through these two. Well, the consensus number 2 in seasonal and in dynasty was the Underdogs.
Womp womp.
Take it away.
All right. I guess I'll have to say some positive stuff about the Underdogs team. The first thing I'll say that is positive is that Brandon does a really, really good job of keeping Evan from not trading everything they have. They got CMC. Obviously, he averaged 27, 28 points last year per game. Too bad he only played 3 games. But if he were to average that out over 17 games, obviously CMC is a damn good player to have on your team. That's nothing to bat an eye at. And they got Dak Prescott. He's coming off of an injury, and everybody knows that they're going to go out there and they're going to have a pretty balanced offense this year, I think, with their run game and their pass game. They're going to have a bunch of weapons for Dak. He's going to be a great player to have on the team. They got A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's clear-cut 1 right now. I know A.J. Brown has been trying to get Julio to come to Tennessee for like the last week, if not longer. It's been public the last week. So if Julio comes there, I still think A.J.'s the wide receiver 1, and Julio would actually be the wide receiver 2. But that's a very back and forth conversation. You can make an argument either way. Michael Thomas is actually a downgrade this year for me. I think, obviously, I traded him last year, but it's not because of Michael Thomas. It's because of their lack of cohesion at the quarterback position. They have no idea who's going to be throwing the football. It was a lot better when you had Drew Brees and Taysom Hill, throwing the football. You knew, like, in certain positions, Hill was going to come in and make a couple plays, what have you. But it was Drew Brees' quarterback position, and everyone knew that. Now it's kind of like, who's going to be QB1? So I think that's going to hurt Michael Thomas's value there. And obviously, they went out and got the best tight end, the most highly evaluated tight end to come out of college in X amount of years in Pitts. I hate, and you know this, I hate that he went to Atlanta. I was so upset that he went to Atlanta. Now I got to play his ass twice a year. Okay. I'll get over it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they got Harris in Pittsburgh. I mean, those are 2 rookies that are going to come in. They're going to be solid players for him. And, I mean, to get into their depth, they got some pretty good depth. Robinson, he was the rookie of the year last year. Because people don't freaking watch football. Yes, he was a 5th-round pickup in the rookie draft. I get it. Whatever. What's he going to do this year? I'm just saying.
We'll see.
What do you think there, Marky Mark? I've gone on and on about him. I think we've given too much time.
You almost hit the whole lineup there. Interesting. They got 2 rookies in their starting lineup, but probably the best 2 rookies that you can have in there. These guys are going to play, man. Najee's going to play. Kyle's going to play. They're going to be in there. So I like it. AJ Brown, Even if Julio comes there, I still think that he's the top dog. He's going to
Yeah.
be good for years to come. Yeah, McCaffrey still number one in ADP. So even with the injuries, people still believe in him. So we'll see, yeah, how that goes this year. I feel like he'll be okay. I really do. I got him in I got him my other dynasty, and glad to have him. Just wanted to split them up so that I don't have them in both, because that injury killed me last year for sure. I made the playoffs, but I didn't get far in either league. Thomas is interesting. I saw something where they say that Jameis is not proficient with a slant, and that's Thomas's number one number one route.
Thomas run anything else? Like, that is his slant.
Yeah,
Slant.
yeah.
That's him.
So that was kind of interesting. So maybe Taysom's the better guy for Michael Thomas. So we'll have to see what happens there. Like you say, I get it, man. It's kind of I think they like the fact that no one knows what they're going to do. It's neither guy really excites me though. The only thing that gives me any hope there is Sean Payton. He's just a really good coach, so he'll figure something out there.
It's funny you make that comment about they like that no one knows. And last year we got burnt by Jameis Winston on one play.
Yeah.
His best throw all year. All right.
Yeah.
You
You keep saying you'll get over it, but you don't really seem to get over stuff. You're still upset about Robinson being the rookie of the year in the NAO league. So.
All right. I'm not going to get into it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Did want to mention GJ Moore. I've heard, being here in Carolina, keeping up with things, they're talking about playing him in the slot a lot more. And I love the prospect of him lining up in the slot a whole lot, because he's a good run after the catch guy. And if you get the ball into his hands sooner, you give him a better chance of doing that. I don't like what they were doing with him last year. If they do play him in a slot, I think that's going to be awesome for DJ Moore. So I think that was a good pickup for him there.
Yeah, 24 years old. He's primed to hit his stride. Like, these are his prime years, 25, 26, 27. Those are prime years for wide receivers. So great pickup for him.
Yeah, we got Curtis Samuel that's going to be in Washington this year. We'll see what they do with him. Everybody's kind of excited about Samuel going to Washington, but when Rivera had him, he didn't use him the way they used him last year.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm wondering, are they going to use him like they did before, or are they going to, learn from what Rule did and play him like he should be played? So I think he could be good. We just have to see what they think, what they do with him. Hopefully they learn from their mistakes of using him improperly. So they got Brown, Beasley, Boyds. These are some good depth guys. These are guys that you're probably not going to start all the time, but they could spot start for you, or they'd be there for injuries. So they got Rashad Bateman, who I had as number 2 in this draft at the wide receiver position. Not a great landing spot, but
I think that's what hurt his value.
Yeah, but good player there. So we'll have to see how that develops. And their backup tight end is good. TJ Hawkinson. I drafted him last year.
He's no slouch.
Traded him away, and I think he can make that jump this year and be really good. Of course, they have Pitts, so they got a nice 1-2 there at the tight end spot. So I like their roster. I like their chances. I think they're going to be tough out this year. I gotta give them a little bit of love. They've done a good job.
All right, let's go to what the fans have been waiting for. Who's number 1?
Number 1 in seasonal and dynasty is Tua time. Our buddy Ian. You call him Nemesis, right?
I call him a lot of things.
You call him a lot of things, but his official title is Nemesis of Airgate 2020.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
Start us off. Yeah, start us off.
Starting lineup's kind of whatever, I guess. Let's go down to his bench players. Who's he think with Edmonds in Arizona? Golly, he just sucks. Got
Okay.
Marlon Mack. No one really wants him. He's kind of Madison in Minnesota. We all know who the starting running back in Minnesota is, and we don't really need to go into that and whatever. Robert Woods, if you talk to freaking Tua time one time about any trades, Robert Woods is as comparable to Nuke, and you cannot get him away from that idea. All right, I'm done talking about this guy. Your turn.
Well, dude, I gotta be contrary to you. So Robert Woods definitely is a really good receiver. I guess it's not flashy or exciting, but he's very consistent. Very consistent. I will agree with you that he was trying to get too much out of him, especially at his age. But the guy has been good. He's one of those guys that's just quietly good every year. So I'd be happy with him on my bench, knowing I can flex him in there at some point. Madison is a good handcuff. I guess it's a little the thing about Madison. It seems like when he's gotten his chance, he's gotten injured a couple of times, maybe. If I'm remembering everything right, he definitely has had some good moments. He's a really good handcuff. To have those two from Minnesota is really, I think, is a good thing. Edmonds, I'd like to know what you don't like about him. I I came off of him because of the same thing I was just talking about Madison. I had Edmonds in both my dynasty leagues, and I traded him this year because the last 2 years when he has gotten the opportunity, he's gotten hurt. So that kind of sticks with you. You just wonder if he's durable enough to be the lead back there. And, the fact that they got Connor in there, you kind of can't ignore.
Well, if Chase Edmonds was on any other dynasty team, I would say that him and a combination of Connor could benefit both of Connor and Edmonds' values. But he's on two a times team, so therefore he sucks ass.
I like he got Sermon. We talked about Sermon earlier, and I think Sermon could be the top running back in San Francisco, if not this year, by next year. I think it was a good pick for him. I like DJ Chart. I told you when you traded him, I felt like you might have given up on him too soon. With Lawrence coming in there, I think Chark is going to be good. Lawrence has got a good deep ball. Chark is the deep ball guy, and he was frustrated last year because nobody could get it to him. It wasn't that he wasn't running good routes or getting open. It was just that they couldn't hit him. They couldn't get it to him. I like Chark there. I think that's a really nice depth piece. I like Mooney too. I think Mooney could make a jump this year. So, that's just talking about his bench. You get to his starting lineup, and these running backs he's got is really impressive to have Cook and Taylor and Saquon all in your starting lineup. DeAndre Swift, I like DeAndre. I think he could be really good. I don't like the situation. I don't like that they brought in Jamal. So I'm just kind of wondering about him a little bit. The talent is there. Wondering about the usage, but that's his fourth running back in the starting lineup. So he's got Deontay Johnson there as a flex guy, Waller at tight end. He's got Nuke. He's got Metcalf. He's got a good lineup. Rodgers is a little bit of a question mark, but
oh, you want to talk about fucking Rodgers? This guy. Freaking the one team that likes to have all the quarterbacks trades away the future MVP of last year. Good job. Good job.
Yeah. I'm glad to see you're over thing. It's nice to...
me and my therapist have gotten past it, and we're better knowing that we are past that.
Yeah. Your therapist is past it. I don't know that you're past it. Yeah, I mean, there's a slight chance that Rodgers walks away from football. I wouldn't put it past him. He's a stubborn guy. They're not going to trade him. It doesn't look like. If you look at the salary cap moves they're making, they're not. It's not with not having Rodgers there in mind. They're making moves like with Tunyon, I guess they say, is how you pronounce that name, where they had to kind of do some creative accounting to keep him on the roster. You don't do that kind of thing if you're not going to be paying Rodgers, you know.
Right.
So I feel like they think Rodgers is going to be there. They're not planning on trading him anyway. So it's going to be up to Rodgers. Does he walk away when he's got maybe a decent chance to get back into the Super Bowl? Yeah, it's hard to say. He's a prideful guy. He's a stubborn guy. So that's the one thing that could hurt this roster, because he's got Newton, he's got Tagovailoa, he's got Jared Goff. So it's not a great. He's done
Lance on the taxi, and I really think that Trey Lance is not going to be the backup quarterback for very long. So.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, again, you can't count on it right now. You have to see what happens in the future here. So, but even if he struggles at quarterback, he seems to have enough strength at other positions. So, I hate it for you. He's your nemesis, I know, but he's definitely got a good roster here going into 2021.
That's our ranking show. We went from 10 to 1. We told you who we thought and what we thought about the lineups and how they did in the draft. I think we're just ready for the darn schedule to come out there, Commissioner. When are we going to get the schedule here?
Yeah. So I guess next show we'll do the schedule release, huh? We have it. I'm sorry?
We're going to release the schedule to the masses.
Yeah, we have it made up, ready to go. We just haven't updated it on the site yet, but before we do that, we're going to just talk it over on the next show, go over the weekly matchups and talk about it a little bit. So that'll be next week for sure. I know you're getting impatient. You knew we were going to do a schedule release show, and you're asking us to put up. Did you ask Brandon? I think you asked Brandon, didn't you? Not me. Can we get the real schedule? Can we get the updated schedule?
I was scared what you would tell me.
Like, this dipshit knows we're gonna have a schedule release show. Maybe Mark's not looking on the site right now, and I can get Brandon
something between the hours of 8 and 5. Like, who knows?
Yes, we will release the schedule. We'll talk about it on next week's show, and then I'll update it on the site.
All right.
That'll be coming.
That'll be great. That's next week's show. I hope you guys enjoyed our ranking shows. We're almost there. I mean, it's June. We only got a few more months until the actual season starts, but practices are going to start. OTAs have already started. It's going to get crazy. Yeah. It's going to get going. Injuries are going to start happening. People are going to get weary. The rookie fever is going to be leaving people, and rookies are going to start moving around a little bit. It's going to be fun. This is the start of the season. We're going to get going. All right. Like I always say at this time, you suck it.